season. The NFL season schedule has been released. And of course, we have to go over our Florida teams, Chris. So before we get into all of our schedules for our Miami Dolphins, Tampa Bay Bucs, and Jacksonville Jaguars, please like, share, and subscribe to
Yes.
Florida Man
Streaming
Sports,
on all
Chris.
major platforms. Let's go.
So, Chris, to start off with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, looking at the schedule, there are 4 instances where they play back-to-back road games there. Is that a big deal for our Tampa Bay Bucks, or are they going to go ahead and just dominate like you predict?
Listen, I'm going to stand by what I said. Now that we've got to look at the schedule, I'm going to
Okay.
stand by the fact that we are going to win this division. But the real question here is to Roger Goodell. Roger Goodell, I know you're an avid Florida Man Sports watcher. I know you're watching us right now. Why do you hate the Bucks? I mean, it's an honest question.
Is
Why?
it? Is it an
Why do
honest
you
question?
hate the Bucks? You don't want to see us win 5 NFC South championships. That's really the story, the headline. Not 2, not 3, but 4 back-to-back away games. Are you kidding me?
Okay.
You started the beginning of the season. If it wasn't good enough, week 7 you hit us again. If we still have a winning record, the third back-to-back is against who? The Bills and the Rams. Get out of here, man. And then, of course, you
Okay.
put a bow on it. Then you got the Carolina Panthers and you got the Miami Dolphins before we meet the Panthers again. It is a very tough schedule, Johnny.
I,
Why
listen,
are you lying? It's a tough schedule. I don't like it.
you
Roger
can
Goodell, he hates the Bucks.
you can say this, but the last 2 seasons, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a home record of 5-4 and away record 5-3, the exact same record. So there's no real advantage for the Bucks, and this is under Baker Mayfield, the same squad. This is the third year in a row essentially with the same team, and they win 5 games on the road. They win 5 games at home. It's it's nothing that it's going to affect them. It doesn't matter if it's back-to-back road games. Like okay, that happens 4 different times. The Bucks haven't had a stellar home record since the last year with Brady, where they were 7-1, or the year they won the Super Bowl. I can't remember, but under Baker Mayfield, you can pencil them in for 5 wins at home. So it's not a big deal. So let's just calm down, Chris. It's
Well,
it's not.
I'm not going to let the fact that Roger Goodell hates the Bucks get in the way of the fact that I still see a path for 10, 11 wins.
I
I
don't.
still see a path for a 5th NFC South championship. And, at the end of the day, we're blessed that we are the best team in the NFC South, playing them 2 games every year, right? Helps us.
You just jinxed it.
There's no
Though.
such thing. I don't believe in any of that.
So what do you have Tampa now? We made predictions earlier, but there were honestly I don't understand why we made predictions. We didn't have the schedule. Now that you see the
Yeah.
schedule, what do you see? How many wins do you see up for Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
11. 11.
You have 11 wins.
Yeah, if we can stay healthy, 11 wins or more. I think we did the last episode. It was 9.5 games, the over under for MGM for the Bucks, if I'm not mistaken. So you definitely want to take the over. And as long as we can stay healthy, man, I see 11 wins plus, and I see us as the best Baker Mayfield led team that this organization has had over the last 3 years. I'm gonna go that far.
No,
I don't believe
you
in jinxing,
can't.
folks. I'm
You
gonna give it
can't.
real. I don't believe in jinxing. Go Bucks.
The thing is that as much success as I want for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you can't continue to run it back. They continue to run it back, run it back, run it back. This is essentially the same team the last 3 years, and they continue to run it back. They had a horrible draft, Chris. I don't care what
No,
you
we
say.
didn't.
They had a
No, we didn't.
horrible
No, we didn't.
draft.
No, we didn't.
So you have a horrible draft. Your
Whatever.
your main free agent was, I think, is a toxic player. So they didn't really go out and get some key pieces I thought they could have to really improve themselves. So I know you keep saying, and Jason White, you trust.
Yep.
A lot of trust is necessary this year for our Tampa Bay Buccaneers because I have our Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 5 or 6 wins. I don't want that to be there, but I don't see what you see, Chris.
That's because you're a terrible human being, and nobody likes you.
Is
But
that what you think here?
no,
Okay, that's fine.
but ultimately, what I do like about the schedule, I'll leave it at this. Week 9 having a bye week is pretty good. I like that. I
Okay.
would have preferred maybe week 10, 11, but I'll take that. Wrapping up the season with the Saints, the Falcons, the Panthers, back to back, besides Miami, I think is an excellent way to finish the schedule. So even though we are getting hit with those 4 games on the road, it's nice to have a decent, easy. Not I don't want to say easy, it's the NFL, but a good schedule to finish off the season.
I think running it back over and over and over again does catch up to you. And this team hasn't proven that they can get to the conference finals. So if you get a team, a Super Bowl winning team, and you want to run it back, that's understandable. Maybe tweak here and there. But this team is always missing something, and they haven't filled those needs. They just keep running it back with the same players and expecting different results, and that's called
Be
insanity.
better, Roger Goodell.
Moving on, the Miami Dolphins, Chris. Now, the Dolphins are known to what? To not play in the, I wouldn't even say cold. Anything under 65, they have some problems with. And they finished the season in New York, Pittsburgh, and New England. So, Chris, what do you see for our Miami Dolphins?
Yeah, Florida Man Sports Arena on all platforms. I see a very balanced breakfast for the Miami Dolphins as far as their schedule. There's a lot to like. I
Okay.
love the Week 12 bye. I love the fact that they're playing the NFC South, right, short of the
Okay.
Bucks. I love the fact that they're playing the Panthers, the Falcons, and the Saints. And then ultimately, when you look at the strength of their schedule, 21st strength of schedule. So you can't get any much better than that for the Dolphins. Weeks 9 through 11 is the only stretch that concerns me. So they need to have 8 wins by week 14. 8 wins by week 14 gets you, in my opinion, to a place where you can compete for a wild card. And then they need to have the biggest, and the reason why I say that is that they play the Steelers, the Bucks, the Bengals, and the Patriots, right? So if you have 8 wins, I'm hoping you can win 2 out of those games.
Yeah.
That gives you that 10 and up for you to be in the wild card and be competitive.
Well, they have to start hot. That's the thing. Is like I guess pun intended. Like they have to because towards the end of the season, when it starts getting colder. Listen, I'm sorry. I don't have any confidence in this Miami Dolphins team to win in cold temperatures. They haven't. It's been several years,
Stop.
and they continue to let us down when the temperature drops. So, assuming we have to assume that the health is there, Tua is going to be there. I do like this Miami Dolphins team, but if they start off slow and you have to kind of rely on them to get those December wins, those November wins in cold temperature, then it's going to be. It's. I expect McDaniel's to go ahead and get fired, and then we can talk about. That's a whole other thing. We're going to
That'll be a
discuss
whole
that.
other discussion, but that's not going to happen, Johnny.
But I don't see it happening. I think Miami is set for me 10 wins. I mean,
Yeah,
I like the,
yeah.
the 10-7 record for what I have in this upcoming year. It could be better based on if they overperform, but based on everything I've seen right here, I expect 10 wins from Miami Dolphins. But I am concerned, like you said, they finish in New England. They're playing Tampa, but they're playing Tampa at home. They're
Yeah.
playing Cincinnati, but at home. Pittsburgh, they're at Pittsburgh and they're at New York. So those games concern me only because of the weather. So let's see
Well,
if
that's why I say you got to get up to 8 wins. And then as far as the schedule, again, why I say I like the schedule, besides the NFC South, right? You got games against the Browns, question mark on the Browns. They still got to figure out the quarterback there.
there's always a question
Who's
mark
going to
with
be
the
the
Browns.
QB. The Jets are a little bit more improved, or at least on paper they're more improved. But again, a team that we should beat, right? Is that fair to say?
Okay.
So overall, we're on the same page. 10 plus wins after the schedule's out. So if you're a Dolphins fan, enjoy. It's a good time to be a Fins fan.
Yeah, I mean, in general, I'm happy about everything I've seen so far with the schedules regarding our Florida teams. We're ending with our Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, the Jaguars, they actually start 5 out of their 7 games at home. So the first 7 games, 5 of them are in Jacksonville. Is that going to be an advantage for Jacksonville, Chris?
So the first thing is you got the 24th ranked schedule. In other words, they've got the ninth easiest schedule, right? So let's talk about that for a second. Do you think that that's a good thing when you look at the strength of schedule? It's a yes or no. Tell me. Do you think that's a good thing?
I think it's a good thing.
Okay. The only problem I have when you look at it is that it's always based on the last year, right? So,
Okay.
for example, if teams like the Raiders did bad last year, do you expect the Raiders to do better this year?
Yes.
Right? As do I. So, in other words, I guess what I'm saying is it looks good on paper, but it's really not. You're absolutely right. The first 5 weeks is going to tell us everything we need to know about Jacksonville. Those for the man Panthers. That to me, week 1 is like a must-win, non-negotiable game. Your playoff season, if you're a Jaguars fan, starts week 1 because
You can't say that.
listen,
can't.
folks, listen. You got the Bengals, you got the Texans, you got the Niners, and you got Kansas City. Don't tell me, Johnny. Don't tell me that the Jaguars schedule doesn't start week 1 with a must-win game in Carolina.
You can't say that, Chris, because if you guys have been listening, and I've been listening to this fool for over a decade, and he always talks about how week 1 is out the windows. Anybody's game. Anybody
It
can win
is.
week
It
1.
is.
Last year,
It
obviously,
is.
New England goes ahead and beats Cincinnati. Nobody expecting that. There's so many different games. It can happen. So the fact if they go in that game and they lose to Carolina, it's not like you can't say a non-negotiable week 1 you have to win. No, there's a lot of question
when you
marks.
have that schedule, Johnny, you do. And so my point still stands that I really believe this, that unfortunately, even though your schedule may be the games against the teams you're playing may be the most favorable or top 10,
Okay.
it doesn't matter, right? So you got that tough schedule. Then you got the Rams. You've got the Raiders. We just talked about how they're improved. You've got the Texans. You got the Chargers. The only easy or competitive games, we have the game, of course, against Tennessee in our division, right? That's going to be a rivalry game. You have the Jets in there. and you have the I think I mentioned that you have the Cardinals. So my question to you, Johnny, is
Hmm.
I said, and I'll stand by this. Okay, this is Florida Man Sports. I said that I predict us winning around 7 games this year, taking the under from MGM. It would be an improvement, folks. A 3 game improvement from last season is trending in the right direction. We should be happy with that. Are you ready to agree with me and look at the schedule now that we have it and say, you know what? It's more than likely going to be 7 wins.
What fan in Jacksonville is going to be happy with that? There's not a fan in Jacksonville that's going to be happy with what you just said.
Improvement? I'll take
No,
improvement.
it's not an improvement because this isn't a team that's searching for a quarterback. This isn't a team who's kind of like still kind of rebuilding. No, they found their quarterback. They're trying to make it work. Is this the right coach? Is this the right GM? Those are the questions that are going to be answered. And then even more important is Trevor Lawrence your guy? You know he's your guy because you're committed to him financially, but is he officially your guy? Regardless, if you think or you don't think you're going to you're stuck with him this season, no matter what. But it's just your eyeballs are looking from the fan perspective. We're going to look: is this guy Trevor Lawrence going to be the man this year?
That's a really good question. Let's talk about that for a second,
Okay.
okay? Florida Man Sports streaming on all platforms here. Let's don't plan to fail, don't fail to plan. So Johnny, Jaguars win week 1. We're all excited, right? God forbid we drop the next 4 games. We're 1-4. Are you saying we ride the whole season with Trevor Lawrence, or at 1-4 does Coach Cohen make a change?
No, you don't. If barring any injuries,
It's an honest question.
Barring injuries, you don't make a change. Guys, they're stuck. This is, I believe, the first year where his contract kicks in. I could be wrong, and I got to double check that. But we spent all the money on Trevor Lawrence. We committed to him. We paid him earlier than we needed to, so we're committed to him. There's no way we're gonna go ahead and just say, you know what, we're paying you, all the money. Let's go ahead and sit down here. Now, injury happens. If you have a Drew Bledsoe, Tom Brady situation, then hey, great. Then you the next man up, figure it out. But he is not going to be benched, for performance. He's getting paid the money. What we're all looking to see is if him and Hunter are they going to mesh? What's going to happen? Gabe Davis is gone. There's still players available. I mean, Amari Cooper's hasn't been signed yet. There's different things happening here. So I'm just curious in terms of are they going to pick up any little pieces here? Is Jacksonville going to do anything else before the season starts?
Yeah, they needed to address the position, the wide receiver position.
They did address the wide receiver position.
So yeah, well,
and the cornerback position
we'll-
with the great pick
we'll,
of Mr.
we'll see
Travis Hunter.
when the games actually kick in. So let me ask you
Okay.
this, because I want to make sure I'm keeping receipts. I've got the Bucs over 11 wins. I've got the Dolphins at 10. Before you give me your Jags, what do you have the Bucs again at? Keeping receipts.
I have the Bucs at 5 wins.
Okay, remember that 5. Dolphins
10.
10. Remember that. Okay, well we're on the same page. And the Jaguars.
And the Jacksonville Jaguars, I have you at 9 wins. You're gonna be 9-8 this year.
Oh, you went down from your previous predictions.
Well,
I got your boy shook. I got you shook.
No, I said what 10? I bet when we were going over that, I thought it's why are we doing this? We haven't seen the schedule yet, but fine. Hypothetically, let's go ahead and see what we got there. And I was high on them. I saw the schedule. It is a tough schedule and some parts there. So I do like they start at home, but they were 3-5 at home last year, being 3-5 at home. But what I do like is that all of the losses, every single one of the losses at home, were by less than 7 points. They never had a loss at home that wasn't a 1-score game.
Talking about a different coach, talking about a different.
Yes, so
right.
I get it. So now, as I said, that's the biggest question mark for me is Cohen's Duval? Is he the guy? Is this GM? Is this young guy? Did he make the right moves? Obviously we have question marks with with Hunter and people are like with Trevor Lawrence, but really the biggest coach GM, did they make the right moves?
We've had a lot of opportunities to be right, and I'm very happy about that, and why we continue to do this podcast. We've
a lot of opportunities to be wrong too.
No, I'm saying we've called a lot of playoffs, we've called a lot
True.
of finals appearances, and when we were doing NBA, baseball, and of course in the NFL.
Okay.
And it bothers me to my core that you've got the Bucs as the last team in Florida this coming season, essentially.
Listen,
No,
somebody
as the last team.
somebody
this season.
has to be on the bottom,
Yeah.
and I have to believe that a team that's going to go ahead and just run it back, and essentially that's what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been doing, running it back. It doesn't mean I don't have confidence in Baker. I just think that they didn't really help him out, and then just throwing in another wide receiver, 2 wide receivers there, in a completely crowded receiver room isn't really helping. Picking up the most toxic free agent in Reddick isn't really going to help things. And I think that at the end of the day, this is going to be a wake-up call for Jason White and just kind of say, listen, you got to make some changes here. And signing Godwin, I personally thought they should have went ahead and moved on from it, but I respect Godwin to go ahead and take less money to go and stay with Tampa.
Check tape. You said that he was going to leave Tampa Bay.
I thought he would.
You owe the Buck fans an apology.
There were
for that.
reports out there that even the Patriots had offered more money, and other teams have offered more money.
Apologize to the fans. Say I'm sorry, I was wrong.
I'm not going to apologize for the fans.
And by the way, Reddick watches Florida Man Sports. He's going to punch you in the mouth after that.
Hey, he knows he's toxic. He knows so he knows. But at the end of the day, he can prove me wrong. This team can prove me wrong, and they show up. And I'll be perfectly happy with being wrong on this. I'm just looking everything on paper. And when you look at it, it tells me that that Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be last place when it comes to the Florida teams this upcoming year.
Bottom line is, I'm glad the schedule's out. Dude, yeah. I can't wait for the season to start.
I can't wait for the season to start.
I can't wait.
But news just dropped, Chris, so that the Niners, the San Francisco 49ers, just finally went ahead because it's all been flirting with it. They went ahead and paid this man Purdy. And I know that last year, before the season started, you said Purdy is about to take off. He's signed fantasy-wise. Wow. Oh, he's going to be amazing. Wow. He's going to be and then he fell off the cliff. And still, San Francisco went ahead and paid this man. Was that a smart move by San Francisco?
Let's call the deal first. It's a 5-year deal, $265 million, $181 million guaranteed money. On the one hand, Mr. Irrelevant needed to get a raise. I think we both can agree on that. He was truly underpaid, right? No question about it. Bottom line is this, man, and I'd love to hear your take on this, but here's the bottom line for people like Lewis, who's an avid 49er fan. You have essentially tied yourself to Brock Purdy, which means that there is no Super Bowl appearance for the next 5 years for the San Francisco 49ers. I get it. I get it. Teams need a quarterback. I understand that. Mayfield. We needed Mayfield, right? To be competitive in this league, you need a quarterback. But I'm sorry. After last year, you're right. I was high on Purdy. I admit that. But what Purdy proved to me last year, something that you guys should have sought before you paid him this money, and that is, if this guy does not have an elite cast around him, he's going to falter. So what happened last year? McCarthy, hurt. Remember that? Okay. Debo, hurt. Look at the results for the Niners. So unless you have an elite team to surround your quarterback manager in Brock Purdy, you're not winning any Super Bowl. And this year, they let Debo go. This guy's going to retire. Christian McCaffrey. So I'm sorry, but I'm happy he got paid. It's not going to translate to wins.
Okay, you're going off 1 year that he had an off year. There was
100%.
a lot of injuries, things happening. Now you're ready to write the guy off. Before the season started, you were talking this guy's going to be the MVP.
Rip the Band-Aid.
And you're going to go, and then all of a sudden, it didn't work out exactly the way I thought. He's a bum. Get rid of him. It's like, calm down. This guy has produced more than Baker Mayfield, produced more than Trevor Lawrence, produced more than Tua.
He has tongue.
He has produced more than any of our Florida team quarterbacks.
Except when it comes to touchdowns.
He's produced more. He's led the team to further down the playoffs. He's definitely won more playoff games, which is ultimately what matters. You know, if you take away last year, which we should because it was a debacle, but the kid can ball. The kid can ball. So stop hating on him because of the fact that this happened. Now you're sitting here saying he was the MVP in the preseason last year, and now he's a bum. He should be working at Walmart.
He was seventh in touchdowns.
Come on, man.
Well, that's what happens when you draft him on your fantasy team and he lets you down. He gets that's what you get. That's what you get. But I genuinely stand by that. I genuinely mean it. That I don't see Purdy as being somebody that can work on his own because of what he did last year. It's okay to say that. You know, you don't have the players in line that you expected to have. They have bad years, and then your team falters for it. So let me ask you this question. Did the Niners get better on paper this year? No, they didn't. So they're 2-4. Purdy's going to be your average quarterback.
It's
pretty simple.
They still have good players there. So Purdy, you still have to get the ball to these guys. You're over here talking about McCaffrey that he got hurt. Oh, it fell down. Yes, Debo got hurt. Those guys weren't really producing. Ajuk wasn't really produced. Everybody got hurt on the 49ers. And then you're expecting some guy. You're expecting Jennings to be your top guy, your top wide receiver.
Everybody got traded this year.
I'm not going to sit here and put it on Purdy because not everybody can be Tom Brady, who can go ahead and throw to white receivers.
By the way, timeout, Florida Man Sports on all platforms. It only took him 20 minutes to say Tom Brady.
So not everyone can be that guy. doesn't mean that you're trash. Doesn't mean that you're not a good quarterback. So Purdy went ahead and got paid. Now, of course, I thought ideally that a Baker Mayfield type contract would have been perfect for Purdy, something along the lines of $30 million a year, right around there, 3-year deal. But the Niners saw something. They see him more than we see him. They see him in practice, see the work he put in, and they had faith in him. Say, no, we're gonna give this kid a 5-year deal. And honestly, he's earned it. He's done more than all of our Florida quarterbacks. He's done more, and they all got paid. They all have longer contracts. So for this kid, I'm not going to hate on him. Stop being such a hater. The kid was the last pick.
Mayfield doesn't have a longer contract than him.
No, I said that he has more. He had more money.
No, yeah. Now he does. But Mayfield's contract is.
Yeah, Baker's Mayfield's was 3 years, $33 million, $35 million, somewhere right around there. So ultimately, for the I wanted that type of contract for Purdy. But the Niners saw, you know what? No, this kid earned it, and he's done more than Baker. He's done more than Tua, and he's done more than Trevor Lawrence. So you're not going to sit here and take something away from the kid. He's earned that contract. Now I know you think that he's going to be a Daniel Jones.
The key to what you're saying, and that's a really good point, by the way. But the key to what you're saying is always in past tense. Was. And I get it. In the NFL, you get paid contracts on your what you did the previous seasons or your career. So I understand that. All I'm saying, Johnny, is, and I'll say it again. Not worth the money. I wouldn't have paid it. They're not winning a Super Bowl.
So what's the alternative?
They're not winning a Super Bowl.
So, okay, you don't go ahead and pay Purdy. What are you doing?
Well, that's a good question. That's a good question.
You pay him. Pay that man.
You did you even ask if you wanted to take less money?
No, I'm sure they did. I'm sure they went to him and said, like,
did you even? No, it's an honest question.
Hey, I'm gonna give you $50 million, but would you take 30?
John Lynch, you're laughing, but John Lynch, I don't think that works former Buccaneer, John Lynch, former Buccaneer,
the great safety.
Yes, the Hall of Famer. You know, I question John. Did you say would you take a hometown discount since we picked you with the last pick, Mr. Irrelevant? Listen, I'm just saying.
They paid him for the last few years about $20 a game. Okay, so for him to go, all right, he did his part.
Is there a correlation? Is there a correlation? All right, just talking about breaking news and all that. Is there a correlation with the fact that now the 49ers are broke and they had to sell 3% of their team? That just happened just today, where they sold 3% a stake of their team to like 3 different people. Like, it's the weirdest thing in the world, right? They're valued at $8 billion.
So you're broke because you sell 3% of your team.
Yeah, exactly. You got to pay. You got to pay the bills. I'm just saying, man.
No, that happens all the time. There's celebrity minority owners that you want to go ahead. Miami Dolphins have done that.
I'm just saying.
So it's kind of like, let me go ahead and bring up Venus Williams or somebody else to be a minority owner. Jay-Z was a minority owner for the Brooklyn Nets. It's always things that you want to go ahead and sell for a small part to go ahead, and it's fine. You get some revenue, and it probably adds to the allure. I'm sure it's some type of celebrity or something else they did there. So 3%. It's all right. It's okay.
Give me. I got an overtime question for you, Johnny Cinco.
Okay.
Ford Man Sports, streaming on all platforms. Please do like, share, subscribe. One thing I will tell you is we got to get to 100 likes in our Facebook page for us to be live on Facebook. So if you're on that, please go there, like it. We appreciate you.
Yes, please.
One more question for you, Johnny Cinco.
Okay.
Let's talk hypothetically.
Yeah, it's 100 followers.
Okay. Hypothetically. Okay. You ready?
Okay.
Hypothetically speaking, if the Bucs and the Dolphins and the Jaguars were all in the playoffs, hypothetically, on paper with the teams that we have, which is the team that can make the deepest run out of our Florida teams? Think
about it. If all the teams make the playoffs, then
which one is making
if they
the deeper,
actually make the play? Everybody does it in Tua, I trust. So with Tua,
I asked you to take a second to think about it before you word vomit.
At the end of the day, if Tua, I've seen what that kid did in Alabama. I've seen what that kid can do when he's healthy. If he's in the playoffs, healthy, no issues, not in the cold, then I think the Miami Dolphins can make a run with Waddle, Hill, obviously with Tua, so Smith emerging as a tight end. So that's a talented team.
All right, now the Dolphins are not in the playoffs. It's just the Bucs and the Jaguars. It's the Bucs and the Jaguars. Who's got the deeper playoff run?
If the Jags, with a more difficult schedule, found a way to get into the playoffs, found a way to get there, then I got to give it to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Actually got in there because the NFC South is the weakest division in football. So for Tampa to get into the playoffs, they have the easier path. So I give it to the Jacksonville
Jaguars. Though Miami's playing the NFC South teams, right? Got them. Now look, bottom line, yeah, exactly. I don't know where you're going with that.
What are you talking about?
Bottom line is your hypocrisy knows no bounds.
It has some
And
bounds.
I'll ask myself the question because
Okay, go ahead.
you
Ask
missed the cue
yourself.
there.
I know what you're trying.
Bottom line is, of all the three teams, the team that has barring health, right? Tua has to be healthy. Everybody's got to be healthy.
Yes.
Bucks offensive line has to be healthy, and of course Trevor Lawrence has to be
They
healthy.
all made the playoffs on this
They all made the
ridiculous
playoffs.
question. So everybody's healthy.
Just listen. It's Florida man sports, right? The Bucks have the team that is built to win playoff games and to get to the NFC South Championship.
It's the same play. It's the
Excuse me,
same,
NFC Championship.
it's the same team they've had the last few years. So
Yeah.
they haven't proven with this exact same team they can actually do the things you're saying they're going to do this year. So they're a year older, they're a year slower, and somehow they're going to go ahead and surpass.
I'm sorry. It's called the draft. Killed it. It's called free agency. Killed it. Bringing back your talent. Killed it. What are you talking about?
He can't even look at the camera and say they killed the draft.
I'm looking at the camera.
Yeah, you would say killed the draft, killed it. They do amazing in free agency. You're looking everywhere but the camera.
So bottom line, and then again, if the Bucks weren't there, I put Miami. Jacksonville would be third. I can't understand. Even Jacksonville fans that are watching right now understand that this year is part of a rebuilding year. Nobody's expecting the playoffs for the Jaguars this year, and that's okay.
No, the rebuilding part has been. They've been screwing up with the coaching and obviously the GM and obviously starting with Urban Meyer. So they made mistakes there. So the team is in place. Guys, a couple of years ago, they had a 99% chance of making the playoffs.
You know why podcasts don't make it? You know why podcasts don't make it? Because people like you that give our fans hope.
Jacksonville.
We got to be realistic, not just give them false hope.
Jacksonville has a good team. They have the pieces there. They have a terrible coaching, terrible management. I'm hoping with change of everything from the front office to obviously coaching staff, I'm hoping that they found the right pieces. And to your credit, you can say what you want. They look to Tampa Bay and say, you know what, I want that coach. I want that guy.
Everyone's picking us off.
So is this the right guy? So if he's the right guy, if the GM's the right guy, the front office is the right guy, then Jacksonville has the pieces. On paper, they look good. They've been looking good. So, yes.
Well, let's wrap this up then with this other question. That was the best case scenario.
All right.
Best case scenario.
All right.
Let's talk about worst case scenario. You ready?
What's the worst case?
Okay, and don't just like shoot out the hip. Really think about it. This is Florida Man Sports.
Yeah, I'm sure the fans want to watch us. Just
really
sit here and
think about it.
They want to. All right, sure.
If Miami struggles, they start 1-5.
Okay. Is
the coach fired?
Probably.
It's a yes or no. This is not a probably. This is Florida Man Sports.
I think
yes or no.
Like I had said, earlier, that if you're coming into the colder months and you have a single digit, if you're 1-5, 1-6, if you're 2-8, I don't have a lot of faith in the Dolphins winning those cold games in New England and New York and Pittsburgh. So if you need to win those games late, no, they're going to probably make a change. We flirted with the idea of the backup of whether it's Zach Wilson making a comeback or something else here.
So does the coach get fired?
Yes.
Okay.
Coach and the coach is tied to Tua, so now you start questioning: is Tua going to continue to be? But obviously, we're getting ahead of ourselves there. But you want to throw your hypothetical?
No. This is Florida Man Sports, baby. Let's go. So hypothetically, the Bucs start 1-5. Is Coach out?
Bowles? Yeah. I think Coach Bowles, this is the year for him. He needs to get.
I was about to call him Lovey Spit. It's Coach Bowles. Coach Bowles out.
Coach Bowles. I think mid-season he will be fired if he starts really bad. I think, like I've mentioned previously, if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers do not reach the NFC Championship and the Super Bowl, he will be fired. Just making it to the playoffs, even winning a playoff game, is not going to save this man's job. He needs to get to the conference championship in order to possibly get a contract extension. Otherwise, they're moving on from him.
So that right there, before I ask about the Jaguars, it's kind of a loaded question with the Jags. That right there tells you folks what the expectation. The bar is high for our Florida teams, at least 2 out of 3. And at the end of the day, it's win or go home, right? So I love that.
I agree.
All right, let's put a bow on this with the Jaguars because I've said 7 wins. You said 9 wins. You went down. You trying to agree with me here?
I saw the schedule.
Stop. So my bottom line is, let's say worst case scenario, they start 1-7, 1-8. It's a new coach. Give them the benefit of the doubt, knowing that you're probably going to win the same amount of games or less because you're having that kind of a schedule and win percentage, or cut the cord early.
No, there's no way that Jacksonville.
They start 1-8. We're not cutting the cord.
There's no way Jacksonville fires Cohen going 1-8. His first year coming in there. So I think it's possibly they went ahead and make some moves. I don't know what the situation is. What's going on? Why they won? Is their defense horrible? Is Travis Hunter the player we thought he was?
Look at what happened to
Trevor,
Mayo.
Is Trevor
You already
Lawrence.
said they're riding with Lawrence no matter what. Look at what
Trevor
happened
Lawrence.
with Mayo.
Yes. So it says a lot of different things. Yes, but they still went the whole season with Mayo because there was a better candidate in the horizon, former Patriot, former alum that was a better who has proven as a proven commodity with the Tennessee Titans. So that's different. Right now on the horizon, there's nobody really there. Now, with the exception of Belichick coming back after his year in UNC and says, all right, I'll go ahead and coach to Jacksonville. Well, from everything I've read, he was available for everybody. So Jacksonville could have had him, and you guys are all fools for not picking up the great Bill Belichick. All your teams are fools. Yet everybody had the opportunity, but now Belichick's kind of a fool because of his personal situation.
The producers need to mute your mic. Florida Man Sports, we are streaming on all major platforms. Listen, folks, if you haven't figured it out, we're at the point right now where the season needs to start like yesterday, and we're desperate for some football here.
No, we're good. We got college football around the corner, so I'm not sweating that.
But you know, the NFL season is what it's our bread and butter. So
of course.
So Johnny, any last words before we go off besides the fact that you're biased against the Bucs?
No, I'm not biased against the Bucs. I wish the best for all of our Florida teams, but I can't ignore a team who had a horrible draft and just continues to run it back with the same players. So the benefit for me is going to go to Jacksonville Jaguars, Miami Dolphins, who actually made some changes there and improved their teams.
Florida Man Sports, we are streaming on all major platforms. We'll see you next episode.
Later.
Let's go.